Hello. Um, Day 18. So, today was pretty good. Um, yeah, also, not planning on riding as far tomorrow. No- From what I've checked, the weather conditions look pretty good, so should shouldn't be too hard of a ride, I guess. So I'm planning on sleeping in a bit later. Um, but yeah, so last night I was looking at the Google Map directions from Omaha to Ames, and originally I had thought it was gonna be 2:20 or 2:30, so a fairly short day, and it turned out to be 2:83 or something. I think according to Google Maps from Omaha to Ames, and then when I actually put in the start and end directions, it turned into 2:90. So it was kind of a long day, uh, but it's pretty good. It didn't take as long as my previous 300K ride. Um, so that was from Ogallala to Grand Island. Mainly because I didn't have a headwind the entire time, but only part of the time. But I guess I'll come back to that. So yeah, woke up kind of early just because I saw the distance was large or larger than I had planned originally, and since I was staying with some people, I was staying with Trevin and his girlfriend Yana here in Ames. I didn't want to show up super late, like actually show up at a reasonable time for dinner. So I woke up, like, ended up getting up around 5. Um, Ellen was kind enough to have left out a whole bunch of stuff for breakfast. So cereal, granola, electrolytes mix powder that she insisted I put in my water bottles, and to take some with me to put in put in my water bottles when I refilled them. Um, like a bunch of snacks for my ride today, which was awesome because they were like pretty much real food and not just like the really shitty prepackaged bike food that tastes awful. And then coffee as well. So that was, yeah, pretty still. After a couple days, was staying with hosts. It's just still like pretty mind blowing how awesome, like generous and kind these people are. Um, so yeah, got ready. Actually, got ready fairly quickly this morning compared to some other days, and I was on the road by 6:15 or so, between 6 and 6:30. Um, so it had been a pretty heavy thunderstorm the night before, and roads were wet. It was still drizzling, so it was nice to have thunders. Um, yeah, the days started out pretty slow. Took like a really long time to get out of Omaha. But that's kind of to be expected to get in or out of any large city. Like, it'll take a while. Mainly just because they're not designed for, or most of them are not really designed for transit bikes, so it just kind of sucks. So I don't know, like, how much that will factor into the city, like, the decisions on what cities I want to stop in over the next couple of days, but we'll see. Um, yeah, didn't realize Iowa was so close. Rolled into Iowa pretty quickly, I guess. Well, fairly quickly. Still in the morning. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of in the sense that I was not expecting hills um, in Omaha. I was also not expecting hills in Iowa. Well, before I looked at Google Maps and saw the elevation report, the directions. But yeah, I was pretty surprised with the amount of hills, and yeah, it was pretty challenging, I guess. Um, it'd be see it'd be pretty fun to like ride around there. Um, and yeah, it makes me wonder if Ragbri actually like goes through all the hills, and or if they kind of or what the route they kind of take. Like if that's what people are doing. Uh, so I guess I should probably look it up or ask someone who's done it. But you know, landscape in Iowa, there's like a lot of corn, I guess, as you would expect. But it looks well, like every state I've been in so far, it looks pretty amazing. Um, yeah, like ask for a couple people for directions today. Because my phone doesn't actually really work in the U.S. Like I have roaming from T-Mobile and all, but it's pretty much complete shit. Because today it only worked in Omaha and Ames. So the place where I started, where since I was staying with someone, I had Wi-Fi already, and the place where it ended, where because I'm staying with someone, I have Wi-Fi. Um, it's pretty annoying to pay money for something that doesn't work, like when you actually want it to work. So that's in between, so you can send messages and look up directions and look up places to eat, I guess. So I mean that's pretty annoying, um, but some good came out of it, I guess. Um, so I ended up getting kind of second breakfast, lunch, well, essentially my second meal of the day in this small town called Walnut in Iowa, um, which ended up taking pretty much 2 hours, so much longer than I wanted. There was only really one cafe on the main street, and I can't say like I would ever really recommend the food because it wasn't particularly, you know, great, good, I guess. But this cafe, diner, restaurant, whatever, uh, didn't have Wi-Fi, so someone told me that the public library had Wi-Fi, so I tried to get Wi-Fi there. Um, but it was closed because apparently it doesn't open until 11 or 12 or something because well, it's a small town. Um, and so I kind of wanted to send a message to my host today because the distance was, I gave him a time estimate, um, or like an estimated arrival time yesterday about what time I'd arrive here in Ames today, based on my mistaken distance, like what I had perceived the distance to be. Either because I had either because I'd misread it or just hadn't looked it up and guessed what the distance was. Uh, yeah, so I wanted to tell him like give him an update, and yeah, I ended up just asking some guy in the street, and he let me send a bunch of text messages and have a short conversation with his phone. So thanks to some random guy. um, it was actually pretty funny because after I sent messages, he was like, "Oh, see you later," and then like a couple seconds later, he's like, "Oh wait, I guess I won't. So bye." But let's see what else. Yeah, before I left Walnut, I was trying to get on the road, but Google Maps does this. I mean, it's Google Maps if you look up directions when you have Wi-Fi. I mean, the route will still be there when you don't have data, whatever. Um, but it does this really cool thing where it'll show the path in blue, but it won't actually load the names of the streets when you have data originally. So I was looking at a map and there were no street names, so I couldn't actually tell where I was going, especially since the GPS takes like a long time to lock on after not using it for a bit. Um, so it was kind of going like circling around the town. Ended up like outside of this random blacksmith shop, blacksmith and welder shop, just because the door was open and I could see people were inside. So I mean, it was like this welder who also happens to be a blacksmith, and he's helping a customer, and then I, asked him for help with directions, and then he recommended an alternate route, which I ended up taking. You can see it on Strava, but essentially I took some country road, I guess, north of Walnut, and then went east on 44 where it met. But yeah, it was pretty spectacular views from that detour or alternate path, whatever. Um, but he was pretty cool. He was, let me see, his name's Tim. Here's his business card. Brannan Ornamental Iron in Walnut, Iowa. But yeah, really nice guy. He was asking me about. Oh yeah, and then I asked him about if there's any place I could get some Loctite or glued or something to fix my fender, because it's over the last couple days. It's really been noticeable, but the seat stay, or no, the fender stay is essentially on the front fender on one side is cut too short, so sometimes it will like slip out of the bracket at the dropout, and then it will rub against the fender, or the fender will rub against the tire, which is extremely annoying when you're climbing or something, like when you're climbing super slow and then your fender tires start rubbing. So I was asking him if there was any place in town that was open that would sell me some glue. Then he started thinking about some places I could get it along the road, and then he took a look and he's like, "Oh, I'll just weld it for you." So that was really cool. So he just welded that, and then he asked me a bunch of stuff about my trip and that kind of thing. I actually need to email him because he wanted an update, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, pretty cool how people I've met, seem to actually want. They'll say that they want to know how it goes, and then they actually do want to know how it goes. Whereas I feel like in California, that's not really the case. Like, people don't actually care. But yeah, so I should email him after this. Um, so yeah, went on my way. Lots of rolling hills. It's pretty challenging. There's actually like a lot of climbing in Iowa, on top of doing like pretty long distance today. So, but kind of near the afternoon, I started feeling pretty good. Um, but yeah, ended up at like a Mexican place for my like third meal of the day, and I have to say I've been going to a lot of Mexican places in the U.S. just because the Mexican food in the Netherlands is complete garbage. And I've been pretty surprised with how good the Mexican food is uh, in the states around here. So today in Iowa, also in Colorado, and I don't know if I went to a Mexican place in Nebraska, but yeah, like pretty good, I'd say. So pleasantly surprised. Um, Definitely trying to eat as many burritos as I can before I go back to the Netherlands, where they don't understand the concept of burritos or tacos, or how to not overcook meat so it's super dry. Um, so, let's see, what else? Um, yeah, so kind of rode into Ames today. There are a couple of trails in Iowa that I took which were pretty good. It's pretty cool that they have like just, I'd say, easy to use trails, because I think the problem is that a lot of, or sometimes cities will have bicycle trails, which are fine, but it's they're not marked well, and it's really hard for non-locals to use them. Um, so these were like really easy, accessible, and visible trails. And it was pretty annoying that. So I went on two different trails. High Trestle Trail was the second one, and then there's like the Raccoon something, or maybe something Raccoon Trail was the first one. But they aren't really connected at all, except by a whole bunch of gravel roads. Um, so that was kind of fun. Would have been more fun if it wasn't at the end of the ride, if it had been at the beginning. Um, but it was okay. Apparently, I have some more off-roading in the future, because there's a lot of that in the Midwest. So try to make the most out of it. Probably be doing shorter distances, so be able to enjoy it a bit more. Just because it's pretty annoying when you're trying to get somewhere like within a certain time and you end up on these trails and they slow you down like quite a bit. But yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, so I arrived at Ames. I haven't actually seen much of the city, so maybe I'll see a bit when I head out tomorrow. But rolled up to Trevin and Yana's place, and they had beer ready for me as soon as I got there, and started getting dinner ready. So they kind of went like, from what they tell me, like Iowan cuisine, so meat and corn. So a steak and corn on the grill, with salmon as well, which isn't really Iowan, but I think it went pretty well. Like a pretty good leek paste thing that Yana made with. So I had that with bread as well, and some watermelon at the end. So really, really tasty. It's nice to eat like real food instead of fast food for all my meals. I think I'm definitely getting a bunch of like zits from very high oil fat diet. But I guess that's just touring life, or at least my touring life. So I'm looking forward to eating lots and lots of vegetables once I'm not touring anymore. Like lots of vegetables and fruits. But yeah, talked to Trevin a bit about like touring. He's done a lot around this area, and he gave me some pointers about like where to go, and actually the campsite I'm gonna try to stay at tomorrow on my way to Madison. Oh wow, 18 minutes already. Yeah, I guess I don't know if I mentioned it already at the beginning, but I'm not super tired even after this long day because I slept really well last night. So thanks again to Alan and Greg. Shouts and hugs and stuff. But yeah, also fingers feeling a bit better today. I mean, still like a little bit numb, but not as bad. I think it's getting better. Today felt easier too. Like, I mean, still like suffering like every day. I mean, that's kind of the point. Like, if I wasn't suffering on the bike, like, why even bother? I could just drive and be really comfortable and conditioned and that kind of stuff. And just carry everything like TV, Xbox, generator, all that stuff. But I get some enjoyment out of it, and really appreciate the what I'm seeing around me, the different landscapes when I'm not suffering too much. So I don't really think I have anything more to add. If I do, I'll just throw up a part 2. But yeah. Oh, I guess I got a flat, my first puncture with a hard shell. So that's, when did I get them? In Utah. So I went through Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, and into Iowa to get one flat. So pretty good so far. I had another flat, but that was due to like a patch failure, so won't hold against the tire. So hard shells, yes, they're pretty good for touring. They don't actually roll very well, especially compared to the Pacellas, and I think if I wasn't touring or like wasn't commuting, I wouldn't really want to use them. But yeah, and especially for like doing gravel and off-roading stuff, they aren't super nice, but it's nice to not have to sit on the side of the road and fix a tire when you're hungry or tired or cold or whatever. Or in this case, like really hot, as that's been the case for the tour so far. Yeah, what else? The weather was actually really nice today. Just because it wasn't so hot. It was cloudy. But, that's fine. I don't have to put on sunscreen. And I'm not sweating as much as I normally do, so I don't have to stop for water as much, which is nice. So, well, it's still supposed to be pretty temperate tomorrow, like Trevin said, mid-80s. So, I guess it's like 20 in real units. And yeah, probably won't have Wi-Fi where I'm at all tomorrow, or at least roaming. Probably won't have any roaming tomorrow, so we'll see. Might be going to some McDonald's just because I know they always have Wi-Fi, and yeah, that's what you gotta do. So, all right, well, bye.